My name is Michael, and my girlfriend left me because I love dogs. Yes, I can never ignore a hungry dog. I bring food to it and take it to the animal shelter, and if they can't accept a dog, keep feeding it for months, bringing food from home and looking for a kind person to adopt it. By the way, I met Ashley when I was looking for someone who would want to adopt a dog. She helped me to find a good family, and then we started dating. Her parents often went abroad and spent weeks there while Ashley lived alone. Of course, she had a grandmother who looked after her, but the old lady lived on the other side of the city and frequently just called Ashley to find out if she was okay. That's why soon we began spending lots of time at Ashley's place without being afraid that someone could catch us. Once, I saw a huge dirty homeless person dragging a dog tied with a rope. The dog was whining and wiggling trying to get free. Despite the fact the man was obviously homeless, he was rather fat, which helped me understand why he wanted that dog so much. I realized that he was one of those people who ate stray dogs and cats. The idea horrified me, and I decided to save the poor animal. I made an attempt to get the rope from the man, but he was holding it firmly. I tried to push him away, but he was too large, so I failed. We started fighting. The man was a lot stronger than I thought. He knocked me down and we kept struggling in the street dust. When I managed to fight my way free, the dog already left. He slowly moved away, mumbling something. I made up my mind not to tell anybody about this case, but a few days later my head got itchy. Ashley noticed that and examined me. She was terrified to see plenty of lice in my hair. She started screaming and giving a lecture to me, blaming my dogs for the situation. So I had to tell her the story about the man and the dog I was trying to save. She was very displeased and said that I had to get rid of the lice. However, I couldn't afford it because I spent all the money I had on dogs. That's why I simply shaved my head. Ashley said I couldn't visit her until she finished disinfecting the house. The thing that scared me the most at that moment was that I would be mocked at school because of my bald head. Well, you know, there are always popular and cool guys who decide how you should look and what you should do. And if you're different, you get bullied and mocked. I held my tongue when they made jokes about me, but I wanted to teach them a lesson. However, now I understand that I shouldn't have done that. One day during a break, one of the cool guys said something about my appearance again. Others joined in and soon I was surrounded by a crowd of kids who were laughing at me. In the middle of that funny situation, I raised my head and said that I had leukemia. Then I broke down in tears and ran away. Everyone stopped talking. They were shocked. Some of them tried to make excuses saying they didn't know anything about my condition. I couldn't have expected such a thing from myself. I never wanted any of this, but my life changed. Nobody laughed at me anymore. Some kids allowed me to take their place in line to the cafeteria, and there were people who would come up to me and try to comfort me, offer support, and even do homework. But I always refused from that. At first, I even enjoyed the situation, but I knew that it was wrong, and I certainly didn't know how to get away with it. Ashley called and said how disappointed she was with me. She said she couldn't afford disinfection of the entire house. Well, her parents owned a large 2-story house and was afraid that the lice had already laid their eggs everywhere. She was shouting at me, and she definitely couldn't stop it. When she hung up, I began thinking where I could find money for the disinfection. A couple of days later, the leukemia situation got out of control. The information about a sick boy who was bullied at school spread really fast, and soon a group of journalists arrived to talk to me. I kept lying and prayed that my parents didn't find out about that. The guys who mocked me were forced to apologize to me publicly. I don't know who felt sorrier at that moment, them or me. After the news was shown on TV, Ashley came to visit me at school. She apologized and said she spent the entire night crying. She asked why I hadn't told her the truth, but I said that I already felt better and that I was going to be all right. I was too humiliated to tell her the real truth. In the middle of my conversation with Ashley, I heard the telephone ringing. It was my father. I felt dizzy and must have shaken because Ashley made an attempt to support me, thinking that I didn't feel very well. I said that I was okay and answered the phone. My father asked me where I was. I replied that I was at school. "I'll be waiting for you at home," he said and hung up. Just so you understand, my father is a tough and conservative man. We rarely have serious conversations, but when we do, I can hardly forget them. I came home. My father was sitting in an armchair. He was angry. I saw an open bottle with his heart pills. Then a difficult conversation followed. When it was over, he said, "It's good that your mom hasn't seen the news. I don't think she can take it. I promised to tell the whole truth and apologize to everybody. I also had to write a letter to the journalists asking for a retraction. And here I am, lying in bed for 3 hours already, willing to have a heart attack or even leukemia, because I can't even imagine how ashamed I will be telling my story to everyone I know. I understand that Ashley will leave me anyway, and that will be the right thing to do, because the lies are nothing compared to the fact that I'm such a liar. Should I run away from home until it's not too late? What do you think? Leave your comments.
My name is Mason, and I have something to tell you. My mother and I were always very close. We used to have no secrets, but some time ago she changed, became positive and happy. She started wearing trendy clothes and speaking in the manner teenagers spoke. And all that would be fine if she weren't over 50 years old. The changes were so drastic that I got worried. I decided to find out what had influenced her so much. I began listening to her talking on the phone, following her to the place she worked at and then home. Soon I realized that she had a boyfriend. Yes, she did have a boyfriend, not just an acquaintance or a friend. It was a real boyfriend, about 20 years younger than her. My mother worked at the Jefferson's library, where she might have met that guy. I wanted to be kind to her and force her to open up. Probably I did well because she told me about him. She was excited and optimistic. I found out a lot of details. His name, occupation, place of study. Later, I applied to the police department and learned that he had been connected to an investigation about financial frauds. But he was a witness only. However, the officer I talked to said the guy wasn't the most decent person in the neighborhood. My opinion of this Alex wasn't good either. He seemed to be unreliable, probably a petty crook or at least an easy writer. Of course, my mother didn't want to hear about that at all. She believed he was in love with her and their relationship was real. I tried to understand my mom's feelings and finally decided to let it go. However, then her friends started to worry. They told me she had spent all her money on Alex and even borrowed some. I went to visit him and asked him to stop seeing her, but he said he loved her and I backed off. 15 minutes after I left, my mother started calling me. She was hysterical. As it turned out, Alex didn't wait long to let her know about my visit. Mom cried and explained to me that she wanted to be happy and live for herself, that I had to understand that after 20 years since my dad's death, she finally felt like a woman. I was ashamed and I decided to support her. She glowed with happiness, even started a business for which she obtained a loan from the bank. The thing that made me feel a bit disappointed was that she asked Alex, not me, to manage her finance. But I did hope for the best, and everything seemed fine. A few months later, I noticed that my mother was nervous, spent too much time talking with someone on the phone and even cried. I asked her what had happened and she told me that Alex had left her and taken all her money. He had deceived her. She was heartbroken. I asked her friends to support her while I would be looking for Alex. I found him in Hawaii. I was able to return her money, all of it. Mom got better but still looked upset. One evening, I saw her happy again. She said that she was happy because she had me, that her life was good. I felt she was lying to me. I asked her to tell me the truth and she told me that Alex had returned, that he felt really sorry about what he had done to her, and that he was still madly in love with her. I was shocked to know that she had given him the money again. She explained that the money belonged to her and she had the right to do whatever she wanted with it. She also mentioned that I had to leave her lover alone. This was the last time she shared a secret with me. She kept saying that everything was fine. I met Alex again to talk to him. He acted brazenly and arrogantly, so I had to teach him a lesson with my fists. He laughed at me and said that I felt jealous of my mother and that I was insecure. I beat him and made him promise he would not hurt her. He also confessed that he was with her because of the money, that he didn't love her at all. I know that the situation is complicated. I know I can't make him love her, but I think I can make him respect her. If you enjoyed this story, please click the like button and leave your comments. Hi, my name is Nate. I'm 23 and I can hardly live a day without music. Music has been a part of my life since early childhood. My father plays piano and my mother is a composer. I like looking at them working together. The moment that I enjoy the most is when they create new sounds. I have never seen or heard anything better than that.
The hardest decision I had ever made was when I had to choose the main musical instrument I was going to play during my life. We had plenty of arguments. My father insisted that I had to choose the piano. My mother tried to persuade me to select the violin, but I picked the simplest and most inspiring instrument for me, the guitar. Yes, the guitar. My mom and dad were angry because they thought that nothing could be better than classical music, while my choice was closer to pop music. Finally, they agreed with me because it was my life and my decision, so they bought a guitar for me. I loved it. I learned to play it days and nights long. Every day I tried to create something new, something that would reflect me, my vision of life. I never regretted choosing the guitar. I felt it was the right thing to do. When I graduated from college, I decided it was time to introduce my music to the world. I became a street musician. I guess you understand that my parents were not happy about this decision either. But despite all their protests, I kept playing my guitar. People liked it. When I was playing, the crowd was gathering around me. It was so cool to realize that people liked what I was doing. About 6 months later, 2 men came up to me after my performance. They said they were producers from the local radio station and that they really liked my music. They offered me to record a couple of songs at their studio. I was beyond happy. My work had been noticed by some influential people, and that was exactly what I needed at the time. I agreed for collaboration. Everything was good. We recorded 9 songs that I had written while I was still at college. The entire process took about 4 weeks. The guys I worked with on my songs told me that I had a great talent. They promised that I would become popular very fast. I wasn't very confident in myself, but during this month we became friends, and I thought I could believe them. The release of my album was scheduled for February 17th. I waited for that day more than for my birthday. On day X, I opened iTunes and saw my album. It was also uploaded on YouTube. I was very happy until the moment my dad asked me who was Paul Nashville. I said that I didn't know that. But he told me that Paul Nashville was stated as the author of the album. I could not believe my eyes, but maybe that was a mistake. I made plenty of calls to the studio, but no one answered. We went to the place where the studio is located, but it was closed. I didn't know what to do. Then, my dad asked me what the name of the main producer was. I said that it was Greg McAllen. When my father heard that name, he was furious. He told me that they had worked together when they were young, but then stopped because Greg turned out to be dishonest. My father called the police and explained the situation. However, the police couldn't prove that Greg had violated the law in any way. Then my dad said he had lots of evidence from the past, which could help them to investigate the case and arrest the man. When the police had all the fact they needed, we all together went to Greg's house. He was arrested, but said that the whole story was false. However, when he saw my father and me, he understood everything. Soon after that, I learned that I wasn't the only one he lied to. There were many talented boys and girls who suffered from his actions. Greg and his entire team went to prison. The situation was resolved, but I had one more problem. My music became extremely popular. Over 1 million people downloaded my album. I didn't think it was a good idea to remove the album and then upload it again under my own name. Instead, I decided to use the name of Paul Nashville as a nickname. So when people ask me why I have chosen this name, I usually tell them this funny story. What is your hobby, my dear friends? Leave your comments. If you've enjoyed this story, please click the like button.